David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, the breaking news as we come on, this storm hitting just before Thanksgiving now. The cross-country storm has just begun tonight, set to sweep across the U.S. now. Heavy rain and flooding, winds and snow in some places, delays already at major airports. The West, then the Midwest and South, then the Northeast. Lee Goldberg standing by to time this out. He has the forecast. Also breaking, the remarkable moment at the White House late today. President Trump and New York City's new mayor, Zohran Mamdani. What they said while together in front of the cameras, and what the president declared about the new mayor. Tonight, the war in Ukraine, President Trump now giving President Zelensky a Thanksgiving ultimatum. Agree to this newest peace plan with Russia. Tonight, Zelensky says it forces Ukraine to choose between dignity and keeping the U.S. as a partner. Vladimir Putin tonight supporting the plan, Martha Raddatz standing by. The deputy shot and killed while trying to get a man out of his mother's house. The suspect then suddenly firing wildly, hitting a number of people. Just in tonight, this video from that deadly road rage shooting. An 11-year-old boy on his way to school shot and killed while riding in the back seat. Tonight here, the video of the other driver, who authorities say pulled out the gun. Tonight, the 18-year-old whose body was brought off that Carnival cruise ship. Tonight, a source now revealing how she died. The school children and teachers attacked by a bear while walking on a trail. Several have been rushed to the hospital, some in critical condition tonight. The horrific scene at an air show, a fighter jet crashing in front of the crowd. She was berated by a pageant official. He was reprimanded. Tonight, days later, she's now been crowned Miss Universe. And something you saw right here this week. Many of you jumped into action. This is quite remarkable tonight. Who is our person of the week?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight with this cross-country storm that has just begun. It's expected to affect record-breaking holiday travel, slow-moving all weekend right into early next week. Heavy rain and flash flooding from the southwest to Texas this weekend. The storm then moves across the south and across the Midwest, and then pushing right up the east coast into the northeast just as travel nears its peak next week. Tonight already, floodwaters washing out roads in Junction, Texas, more than 100 miles northwest of San Antonio. More than a half-foot of rain falling in parts of Texas. Delays tonight reported at major airports across the country already, Los Angeles to Chicago to New York. The FAA predicts the busiest air travel for Thanksgiving in 15 years. AAA projecting nearly 82 million Americans will travel this holiday. That would be a record, and they will do it now in the middle of a storm. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast, and Whit Johnson leading us off with the images already tonight.
Tonight, the historic holiday travel rush now underway, with a cross-country storm threatening to impact plans for millions in the coming days. A separate system already bringing heavy rain to Los Angeles. Drivers drenched on the 60 freeway this morning. This as dense fog confronted drivers in parts of California's Central Valley. Visibility as low as a quarter mile in some areas. Powerful storms also swamping Texas in the last 24 hours, flooding roads in Menard. This dust storm engulfing Lubbock with 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. A record 82 million Americans expected to travel in the coming days, according to AAA. 6 million of those set to fly, and it comes on the heels of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Tonight, we're seeing flight delays from Los Angeles to Dallas and Chicago to New York. I spoke with Mara LaBelle today, who arrived at the airport early, even after the shutdown, still worried about flight disruptions.
I just wanted to get here and make sure everything was okay.
Her grown children traveling too, joining her in South Carolina for the holiday.
Hopefully they'll all make it. The boys are flying, the girls are driving with all the dogs.
And David, that cross-country storm is already forming tonight in the southwest, just as millions are heading out for the Thanksgiving travel rush. David.
All right, Whit Johnson, we'll see you on Weekend GMA with thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from WABC. Lee, a lot of people trying to time out their travel, hoping to avoid all this, so take us through it. What do you see?
So, David, I'm seeing Sunday into Monday is the biggest problem time, especially in the middle of the country. But the weekend really gets off to a quiet start. Some lingering rain in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. That's going to move out. There's some rain in the Southwest. That's our cross-country storm. So by later Sunday, that rain is moving into the southern Rockies, southern plains, some showers in the Pacific Northwest. And then the most impactful time. It's flooding and severe weather threat across the South Sunday into Monday. Thunderstorms Sunday night into Monday could cause flooding, hail, and gusty winds from Abilene to Dallas over to Memphis. On Monday, it's rain from Texas to the Midwest, but it's light rain to the north and minimal delays. Tuesday, you have widespread rain and showers in the east, maybe some minor delays from Atlanta to New York City. The storm, thankfully, moves out on Wednesday. The East Coast dries out. It does get a little windy. We'll be watching that for the Thanksgiving Day parade right here in New York. David?
Lee Goldberg from WABC. Lee, thanks as always. We move on tonight to the remarkable scene playing out in the Oval Office late today. President Trump and New York City's new mayor, Zohran Mamdani, meeting for the first time. The president behind the Resolute desk, the mayor-elect standing right beside him. Following months of personal attacks that went both ways, tonight President Trump saying, "I feel very confident he can do a very good job. I think he's going to surprise a lot of conservatives." And the president went on to say that he would be comfortable living in New York under a Mayor Mamdani. Quote, "I really would, especially after our meeting." Here's Mary Bruce.
Very productive meeting.
Tonight, the extraordinary scene at the White House. President Trump embracing New York City's mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, the 34-year-old Democratic socialist Trump once warned would destroy his hometown.
I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
The two men hurled attacks at each other for months. Not today.
I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
Mamdani saying they discussed his winning issue, lowering the cost of living.
The 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out.
During the campaign, Mamdani attacked Trump as an authoritarian, calling him a despot.
Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
The president jumping in.
I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together.
Reporters pressing Mamdani again.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
The billionaire president saying he'd be happy living in Zohran Mamdani's New York.
You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
Trump saying Mamdani wants to see New York be great.
I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he can, we'll be out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him.
And David, President Trump had threatened to withhold federal funding from New York City if Mamdani won. But today he said he doesn't think that's going to happen, saying, quote, "I expect to be helping him, not hurting him." And again, David Trump saying he thinks the mayor-elect is going to surprise some conservatives. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House. Quite a scene today, Mary. Thank you. Tonight, the war in Ukraine. President Trump giving President Zelensky an ultimatum. Agree to this new peace plan by Thanksgiving. President Zelensky in a new speech tonight saying it forces Ukraine to choose between dignity and keeping the U.S. as a partner. So how much would Ukraine have to give up? And tonight, Vladimir Putin supporting the plan. Here's Martha Raddatz.
Tonight, an ultimatum. Nearly 4 years into this bloody war, relentless Russian missiles blasting apartment buildings and power grids, seen in video circulating online. President Trump now telling Ukraine, accept a new peace plan by Thanksgiving Day or risk losing U.S. support.
We have a way of getting peace. We think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it.
The president's 28-point proposal would give Russia much of what it has been demanding and would require Ukraine to make significant concessions, including forcing Kyiv to give up additional territory in the east, giving the Russians control of nearly 1/5 of Ukraine. The deal would also limit the size of Ukraine's military to 600,000, force the nation to agree that it will never join NATO, and bar NATO troops from providing security inside Ukraine after the war. But the plan does provide a military-backed security guarantee for Ukraine. Tonight, in a solemn address, President Zelensky saying Ukraine is facing one of the most difficult moments in its history, choosing either the loss of dignity, he said, or the risk of losing a key partner. Late today, President Trump pressed about Zelensky's reaction to the deal.
He'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess.
And David, while Zelensky says accepting this plan would mean his nation giving up its dignity along with territory, late today, Vladimir Putin praised the U.S. proposal, saying it could be the basis for peace in Ukraine. David?
Martha Raddatz tonight. Martha, thank you. Meantime, here in the U.S., a deputy was shot and killed near Vero Beach, Florida. Authorities say they were trying to get a man out of his mother's house when that suspect began firing indiscriminately, hitting a number of people. So here's Aaron Katursky tonight.
Tonight, a solemn procession for a Florida sheriff's deputy killed on the line of duty after authorities say she was shot by a man deputies were trying to evict from his mother's house. Another deputy was shot along with a locksmith who accompanied them. He was critically wounded.
What an awful day.
The suspect, 37-year-old Michael Halberstam, was being kicked out by his mother. When the deputies and the locksmith arrived at the house near Vero Beach with the eviction notice, the sheriff says he opened fire.
Mr. Halberstam retrieved a weapon. He began indiscriminately firing at our deputies on scene.
Deputies fired back, injuring the suspect, who was in surgery and in critical condition. Deputy Terry Mashkow was shot and killed. She was 47 and had spent more than half her life with the department.
I'm absolutely heartbroken having to call her mom today, having to let her husband know. Absolutely the worst part of being a law enforcement leader.
The sheriff says the suspect had recently been fired from his job. David, his mother had called 7 times this month about removing him, and the deputy was killed doing a routine job, serving an eviction notice. David?
Aaron Katursky tonight. Thanks, Aaron. Just in this evening, the police video now from that deadly road rage shooting in Las Vegas. An 11-year-old son on his way to school shot and killed while riding in the back seat of his stepfather's car. Tonight, hear the video of the other driver who authorities say pulled out the gun. Here's Matt Gutman.
Tonight, police in Las Vegas releasing body camera video showing the frantic and gut-wrenching moments after a child was killed in a horrific road rage attack.
He's dead? Why?
The boy's stepfather in agony, screaming, inconsolable. The alleged shooter, Tyler Johns, appeared stunned.
I shot at him, bro. You shot at him? I didn't know.
The boy mortally wounded in the back of the car. 11-year-old Brandon Dominguez Chavarria was riding in the back seat last Friday when police say his stepfather had a heated exchange with Johns as they merged onto this Nevada freeway, the family sharing this photo of Brandon on GoFundMe. At the scene, that 22-year-old driver is cuffed, then put in the back of a patrol car.
No, it's 100% happened. I shot at him, dude. I didn't even know you had a kid in the car. Is there any chance that the kid will be okay? There's always a chance. I don't know. If you're a praying man, I would be praying a lot for him right now.
Tyler Johns has been charged with murder. In the courtroom this week, Brandon's mother confronting him.
He wanted to take somebody's life away. He took my son away. He was just trying to make it to school.
And David, that suspect Tyler Johns faces the single broad charge of open murder. He's currently being held without bail. As for that anguished stepfather, it's unknown if he faces any charges at this point. David?
Just a horrific story. Matt Gutman tonight. Thank you, Matt. This evening, we have new reporting here after the death of an 18-year-old girl. Her body carried off a Carnival cruise ship in Miami. A source tonight now revealing how she died, bruises found on her neck, and court filings indicating a stepbrother could be under scrutiny. Here's Victor Akendo.
Tonight, chilling new details in the death of 18-year-old Anna Kepner, found dead on board a Carnival Horizon cruise ship following a vacation to the Caribbean with her family. A source briefed on the investigation tells ABC News today the Central Florida teen died by asphyxiation from an arm being held across her neck. 2 bruises were also found on the side of her neck, according to the source. That source says preliminary information showed no signs of sexual assault or the appearance of drugs or alcohol in the teen's system. Tragic video overnight showing authorities removing Kepner's body from the ship earlier this month after it redocked at the port of Miami. A different source says Kepner was found under a bed in her cabin, wrapped in a blanket and covered in life vests. It comes a day after Kepner's stepmother was seen for the first time on camera in a separate custody dispute after identifying one of Kepner's stepbrothers as a suspect in her death.
The older child is a suspect in the death of the stepchild, an 18-year-old daughter that was staying in the same room on the cruise ship.
That stepbrother immediately hospitalized after the incident and later released, according to the attorney.
And David, the FBI and the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office declined to comment, citing the ongoing investigation. David?
All right. Thank you, Victor. When we come back, a lot more news ahead. The OB-GYN accused of secretly recording his patients, and some of the video right here tonight. Also ahead, the school children and teachers attacked by a bear while walking on a trail. Many rushed to the hospital, some in critical condition tonight. The horrifying scene at an air show, a fighter jet crashing right in front of the crowd there. And we reported here when she was berated by a pageant official. He was reprimanded. Well, tonight here, days later, she's now been crowned Miss Universe. In a moment. Tonight, a group of school children and teachers were attacked by a grizzly bear on a walking trail in British Columbia. Officials say 11 people were hurt on the walking trail, including 3 children and an adult hospitalized. 2 are in critical condition. The rest of the group chasing away the grizzly using pepper spray. Tonight, the horrific moment showing a fighter jet from India crashing during an air show in Dubai, killing the pilot. A stunned crowd watching this as the plane flew low to the ground and then crashed at the airport. You see there that massive fireball that followed. The Indian Air Force is now investigating tonight. When we come back here, the doctor accused of secretly recording his female patients, and something you saw right here this week. And what you did is remarkable. So who is our person of the week? To the index of other news tonight, a disturbing investigation now underway at Fort Hood in Texas. Multiple women accusing an Army gynecologist of secretly recording his patients. Authorities say Major Blaine McGraw saw hundreds of female patients. A photo of McGraw obtained by ABC News Now, showing him delivering a baby with what appears to be a cell phone in his shirt pocket. He's been suspended. The Defense Health Agency says all of the women under his care have been contacted as this investigation continues. Well, quite an ending after Miss Mexico was berated by that official at the Miss Universe pageant. He was reprimanded, and now she's been crowned Miss Universe. Fátima Bosch took the title at the pageant's main event in Thailand. Her win comes after that confrontation went viral, fellow contestants cheering her on. When we come back tonight, something you saw right here this week. Many of you jumped into action. This is quite remarkable tonight. Can you guess our person of the week? Finally tonight here, the Thanksgiving angels hard at work. Our persons of the week. Tonight, with Thanksgiving less than a week away now, the remarkable response from so many of you at home.
Welcome to the God's Love Kitchen.
This is a huge kitchen.
Deborah Roberts took us to the nonprofit God's Love We Deliver here in New York City. For 40 years now, since 1985, cooking and delivering special medically tailored meals to people in need. 20,000 volunteers, 4 million meals a year. And this time of year is especially important.
This is our beet and spinach stew.
The soups, the vegetables, turkey, the gravy, the stuffing.
You're going to brighten somebody's day on Thanksgiving Day.
It all started right here, and now nonprofits are following their lead across the country. From Mama's Kitchen in San Diego to Open Hand Atlanta, Project Angel Heart in Denver. And we haven't forgotten what one volunteer, Aurora, told Deborah about helping people you've never met on this holiday.
I just like the feeling that I'm doing something for somebody that I don't actually know, but I feel that I know them.
And soon after, we learned it struck a chord with many of you, too. In just 24 hours since that report aired, viewers of World News Tonight, hundreds of you donating $55,000, paying for thousands of additional meals this holiday. And already tonight, those meals are being delivered.
Hi.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Barbara, I have your feast.
This volunteer, Dee Dee, at Barbara Devaney's door. Barbara has lung cancer, and just listen to what she told us.
God's Love We Deliver has been life-changing for me.
Life-changing, she said. And tonight, thanks to so many of you delivering even more meals this holiday. Incredible. To help, glwd.org. We love our viewers. Good night.
ABC's David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. More Americans watch World News Tonight with David Muir than any other newscast.